I had to have the one and only Sarah Brendlaw on. So hi Sarah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm actually very good. Feeling strong, feeling good, hydrated. I'm all right.
Nice. Coffee? Had your coffee?
Yes. In fact, what's the time? I think my cutoff for my caffeine allowance is just about done. The door has slammed shut and now I'm on water.
Nice. So I'm going to let Sarah introduce herself because there may be some people that aren't familiar with Sarah. I know Sarah, but for some of you, you're not aware. So Sarah, would you mind just introducing yourself a bit, please?
Yes. Hello, I'm Sarah. I'm Sarah Brendlaw. I live and work in London. Presently, my occupation, I am a self-defense coach and I use the principles of Krav Maga. I have a background in fitness. I haven't always been a self-defense coach before this. So I'm actually a story of reinvention. I used to be working in advertising. I was an art director, an ideas person. So that's the short story, really. I'm also a mum too, working mum. And that's it. What else? What can I fill you in? Ask me.
Let's talk a little bit about your Krav Maga and your self-defense, because I think that's a really good point. You're a self-defense coach that takes on Krav Maga. But how long have you been practicing Krav Maga, and how long have you been an instructor in self-defense?
I started practicing in 2003, and I started and I became an instructor in 2006, 2007. I'm one of those two. Basically, it was not long after the birth of my son in 2003. I'd heard about Krav Maga, the system, and after giving birth and all that stuff, time had passed. As I said, I've got a background. I grew up in a family of fitness for health enthusiasts, so people working out around me. I didn't realize that when you went to other people's houses, they didn't have pull-up bars on the doors. I thought that was normal. My dad would always work on the pull-up bars, or he'd be doing a handstand. Sunday lunches, my friends would always say, why can't you just go for lunch? Why do you have to have a walk afterwards? So that was the kind of background. We're a bit like, I always describe myself as, well, like, we're a family of dogs. We need to be walked. So I came from that kind of ethos, really, of exercising and fitness. And though, like I say, I worked in advertising, and I'm sort of going to meander off on a little bit of a different path here. I lifted weights. I was training from a young age just to keep fit, no interest in how I look, but just from the point of view of the fitness. Now, I'm sure there were places in my life. No, thanks. I'm doing this. I said my coffee time is over now. Sorry about that. I've grown up around fitness. Now, it was an injury that I actually had from overtraining that made me realize how little I knew about training, really. So I actually, at the time, while I was working as an art director, I got qualified to teach. Back in that day, it was the YMCA that did a lot of professional training. So they did a lot of exercise to music at the time. And I became a gym trainer and circuit trainer, which is what they used to call it. I continued to work in advertising, but teach as a PT when there was no work for PTs. That was sort of like really didn't exist. So I have a background in teaching and a background in teaching exercise. But after the birth of my son, I decided I wanted to learn something new. Because I have a background in doing something physical, I thought I really want it to be physical, but not just that. Now, I'd heard about Krav Maga, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to find a class and I'm going to learn to do it. And I did exactly that. And in fact, it was training outside, and the website said you can come along and watch, or you can come along and take part. And I called the instructor and said, I'd like to come along. And he said, would you like to watch or would you like to take part? And I said, I'd most definitely like to take part. And I turned up and there was just me. So I don't know what I would have done if I wanted to watch. That was my question to him. So that was where my journey began, back in sort of mid 2003. And then I continued. Now back then, and I think this is where we want to go, is there weren't that many women and girls training Krav Maga. The roots for Krav Maga are from the military, and it's had that kind of, and again in the UK it's quite a new system anyway, so there weren't that many classes and places to go to. So I was at the time when I was training, there were very few me's, and it was kind of the attitude of, if you were paired up with someone, it was the go easy on her, or you kind of, if you were paired up looking for partners, it would be like back at school waiting to be picked for the team. You'd be left and like, oh, you know, fortunately things have changed somewhat. I have to say, as soon as I start training with someone and they knew I was a bit serious, they were a bit more concerned, and I was the one that was asked to go easy on them. But like I say, things have really moved on for the positive, as our system has changed, and as attitudes to training have changed, and of course more people like me and you turn up, and that can only be a good thing. It's up to us to like I say, you've got to keep turning up and keep training.
Yeah, I mean, you've had quite a big influence on from the KMG, the organization. I just think I heard the organization.
I in your opinion, but thanks, I'll take that. I just do my stuff. I just turn up and do it. And the one thing I've always been, you know, it is really nice. We all want recognition. We all want likes on our social media pages, but you've got to really think about who you're doing it for. And you know, you've just got to keep moving forward and think where you are. And it is really hard. Like I say, attitudes change. We still meet with issues as we move along, sadly, but we do keep going. And like I say, there are a lot more people. I'm really happy that you said I've had a positive influence, because that can only be a good thing. And I'm glad that if that influence has helped people like you, because then you are gonna, and I know you have a great number of students that listen and look up to you. That's great. And you know, we are told when we become instructors that we are just messengers, and that's the thing. And I think it's important that the message that we do pass on, it's like, be nice, but you know, don't take crap. That's the most important thing. We have to get our students to trust us and believe in what we're doing. And it's, you know, I used to work in communication, working in advertising, and it's not dissimilar. I needed to get my, you know, the clients and the people that are buying stuff to believe in it, you know. And if I don't believe in it myself and sell it in a positive way, so what can I say? I just keep turning up. That's all I do, is I keep turning up.
But I think you know, I've definitely look to you as guidance, and someone that I look up to, who has come from, like you say, that background where the women were perhaps not represented in what we do. You know, it takes courage to walk into an arena where you are, you know, the minority. You are seen as perhaps, you know, not the stronger one, or you know, you're looked at differently, and you know, and to actually keep pushing forward, and then to now be kind of leading the KMG UK women's, you know, side. So bringing in
whatever that means.
Well, whatever that means. But you know, again, creating those training opportunities for more women to come through and to experience, actually, you know, this is what I do and this is what you're capable of. Don't listen to the, you know, these stories.
Look, it is, I think there's always this attitude to, and you know, I grew up thinking I can do anything I want. I can be whoever I want, you know, don't put a label on me. And it was probably a bit naive. And I worked in, you know, when I worked in other industries, it was very much, you know, I found out that I was earning a lot less money than someone doing my same job. So I came across all this kind of stuff. But again, I think, you know, there's this attitude that it's if we do it, it's a softer option, or it's easy. That's that idea. If she can do it, it must be easy. And I'd like to think that we are changing that attitude. And the one thing I do want, and I don't know, I don't think inspire is the wrong word that I would use for me, is that I've come on a long journey. I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes. Let me help you not make those mistakes. That's how I see it as. Let me tell you, or at least ask me. You know, it's my opinion. It's based on my experiences, but I am not going to hide anything. I'm not one of those people that are going to go, this is, you know, there are some, you know, we are not martial arts instructors. That's one thing. We do not teach martial arts because, as you know, the system changes all the time. And it's that idea. I always stand in front of my students and we all say this: I want to make you better. I'm not hiding stuff from you. I'm not keeping the secrets. I have no secrets. And if it can help you, why would you not do that? That's the thing. And I think you know, that there is this kind of idea that women, you know, and I don't even want to use any of these kind of old nuances, but women do support each other, and you do get more, I do see more collaboration. And I think that's the important thing that we need to work on, that, you know, and it goes back, especially in times now when things are a little tougher, is that collaborating and swapping ideas, and it is very important in this time. I want more of people that do what I do as well, because I'm not I'm not going anywhere soon, by the way.
I was like, where's this going? Where's this going? Panic.
But you know, I use the word senior instructor in its proper usage. That's that, yeah. So I can't remember what the original question was, by the way. Never mind. We're having a conversation.
It doesn't matter. I mean, obviously you've done a lot of work as well around, I know that obviously this year you're running a workshop, is that correct, online?
I've got to get the date. Yes, thank you for pushing me to do it.
What, could you talk a little bit around what
Thank you, making them happen. Well, look, so if I go back to when I first started teaching, I always thought, and again, there were very few women instructors in the UK. I think there was me. There was another that disappeared, and then there was me. So I always had this sort of idea, but it was probably a bit too airy-fairy, that, oh, you know, I would go and teach a lot of women. I didn't want to be part of any school. It would be me on my own, and I'd float about and do that. So that kind of, well, it worked out okay, actually. But I would split my time, you know, again, as far as I'm concerned, it was about teaching people of all ages self-defense, dealing with that, working with their limitations, the issues that they may face. So it was that, really looking at the individual. As a woman, it gave me the opportunity to teach women only. So, and I do hate the phrase women only, because if last week I stand in front of a class of 14 men, because we're only allowed to teach in small groups at the moment, no one would say, oh, I'm teaching a men only class. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? But I do refer to, and again, one of the reasons why we do have women only classes, that there are women that have faced issues that they'd rather not deal with. They prefer to train in women environments. For religious reasons, they can't be seen with men, which is why a lot of people will want a woman instructor. Am I going to teach them to defend themselves realistically? Are they losing out? No, they're not. We are, you know, as you know, our system recognizes the limitations and the goals that we're trying to achieve, and we do need to understand. And now I know I'm going off on another tangent. Is that we must understand how we're not teaching people to fight on its own. You know, and I use that because we are teaching people to fight back. It is about recognizing how violence happens, and this idea that women training with women is unrealistic. We need to shift that out of the way. It's up to the instructor to get the best out of the student. If you need to bring people in to get that result, but don't think by not having a a man in the room, that they will not reach their goals. But people, you know, again, I would encourage people to train with men and women together, because that's what the world is like. But don't feel that you're getting a weaker option. That's the most important thing. So I started training groups, mixed groups and women only groups. And I used to, when I worked on my own, I used to just teach courses, because it was just me. There was no one to take over when I took a break. And also, actually, if we look back at the history of Krav Maga, it was taught in a short space of time. So we know we can put stuff together, but people love it. We love it. We want to train more. So we create more classes. And at the time, as I said, I was teaching on my own. It just happened that, and in fact, actually, one of my first women-only courses, someone asked, I wasn't teaching them, but I was asked, do you teach women only? And I said, yes, I've got one happening in 6 weeks. And I just put something together. And that's how it started. Build it and they will come. And it was through one of those, just through word of mouth, that one of my students who worked for a large organization that sadly is no longer here, Eves, and they were a huge charity that worked with women in vulnerable situations, survivors of abuse and violence, and they were huge. They were huge, and sadly they lost funding a few years ago. So that was my first opportunity working with an organization like that. I would come along and I would design short workshops and courses for their women. And that was it. And then it sort of grew out of that. A couple of other organizations contacted me directly. The circuit is quite small, so they would get in touch with me. And also working directly with counselors, people would get in touch. And it was interesting how, you know, they'd say, I do feel some kind of combative system, some self-defense system would really help, recognizing how violence happens. But again, when you're dealing with trauma, again, I would see people at different levels of mindset. It's a very different thing. But with knowledge and understanding, you get great results, and it's very, very rewarding to see people change. And you know, and as instructor, that, you know, with that people, you know, knowledge is power. Understanding how things happen, maybe making them realize and help so it doesn't happen again. We are, as teachers, we become healers. So that's it really. Unfortunately, I've not done anything like that for the past year, because again, a lot of the contact stuff has died out. But I will get back, and it is rewarding. It is definitely not easy, but it is extremely rewarding. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know, something that I would love to talk to you a little bit more about.
Yeah, anytime.
Because like you say, what we do, it's not just a comeback, turn up, fight. You know, there's so much around it: the confidence
Absolutely.
side, the mental health side, the determination, the resilience, and stuff like that. And you know, there's so many prongs to what we kind of teach. So I know as well that you do the women's only camp. Obviously, that hasn't happened again this year, and the hope is that next year that it will happen. And you know, again, what could you talk a little bit about that, and how you kind of got involved in that, and what your kind of aspirations are for it? If you've got any, you might not. You just might let it roll.
Oh yes,
see how it comes.
Well, I work with one of my colleagues, and as you know, I'm very fortunate. The organisation that we are affiliated to, Krav Maga Global, is global, and we have you know, the one thing to add about all the training is, as you know, we have a great community, and the training does provide the students with good community, which we've seen over the past few months through this. You know, everybody's in mourning for not being able to have the contact in training, but we are speaking to our friends and students, and one such instructor, Grazia, who is a global instructor, and very, very senior. She heads up the women's division and for Krav Maga Global. And we had a conversation. God, it's about how many years ago? Oh, my brain is addled because I've not allowed any more coffee. We had a conversation at one of the camps, and basically she said to me, I've got an idea. And I just said, I'm in. I didn't even know what it was. And she said, what do you think about having a camp with just women? I was like, yeah, I'm in for that. So it started with a small group in Holland, a weekend. So it was basically eat, sleep, Krav Maga, repeat, or Krav Maga, eat, sleep, repeat, whatever. And as she says, you're not allowed to complain, just get on with it. And we've been running it successfully every year in Holland. It is a lot of workshops, training from all kinds of levels of Krav Maga, from verbal staff, technical staff, weapons, a lot of combat, striking. We'll do a lot of scenario training, and we are all together. We eat together, we talk together. So the community, the bonding, it is amazing. The training is not easy. We ran our first UK camp last year, something that we talked about for ages. And we have a spring camp in Holland in April, and we supposedly have an autumn camp in the UK in September. And I'm hoping that you can come along and run a session for us. We would like that very much. And it is brilliant. And like I said, we have, the only time we were allowed a male instructor there was when we had Eyal Yanilov to come, who did our 5th year anniversary there. So it's grown, but it is not a big camp. We have limited numbers, and the numbers are limited by the place that we stay in. And also we don't want the camp to grow too big, because there is such camaraderie there. It is not a great money maker, I can tell you that, but we learn from each other. The training is good. It is not easy. One of the students, I never forget, and this is the services of a good host at a camp. One of my students came out of a training session into dinner, and she couldn't cut her meat, so I helped her because she'd been striking so much. She was like this. So the training is hard. It is good. It is good. And I said, we do cover lots of subjects, and our students keep coming back. Why do it? I enjoy teaching. I love teaching. I'm very lucky. I don't see my job as a job. I do what I do, and sometimes I get paid. To be able to work with Grazia, we work very well together. We bounce off ideas, and like I say, it's great to see the students. We all grow and we all learn and we train together, and that's it really. So next year, April in Holland. Let's hope. We actually have got dates bookmarked for that, and then I haven't got dates for September 2021, but I'm hopeful for that. And I said it's a really great experience, and it's quite reasonably priced too.
Is it KMG focused?
The curriculum. So that's a very good question. Yes, it is. You do not. We take all our as KMG instructors. That's what we teach. So, but of course we. Grazia and myself, we look to other schools we work with a lot of other coaches out there and people that talk about violence, and from a psychological perspective, sociological perspective. We look at the news, we are talking to people, how we work on stuff, we listen to people, how violence happens. I have students come to me that have said this, this happened to me, and that's why I'm coming to you, or I use this and this didn't happen to me. So we have lots of anecdotal situations where people have used Krav Maga, but we base our teaching on real life experiences. So we're taking the technical stuff that we get, but also apply it to real life, because again, we teach a realistic system. And so we need to understand how violence happens. And, you know, we ask questions in class. Has this ever? Yes, this happened. Yeah. Or what if this, you know, and I know, especially in my experience from dealing with women that have experienced violence, people, you know, a woman will say to me, how do you defend against that? And I know the reason why they're asking is because it's happened. So we take a lot of experiences from ever, and so we're fortunate that we have a great system that works. But I think the important thing is to understand that, you know, we recognize that threatening situations, violent situations, and of course they are rare the majority of the time, but they don't happen 1, 2, 3. So we teach our students what to do, but then also to adapt when things go wrong, because that's what life is like. So having the ability to be in small groups away, we can play with staff and you know, use the word workshop, but you know, you get to understand, and again, it's another cliche thing, but it's a safe place to ask all the questions that you might not feel comfortable asking. You know, this happened to me, you know, we hear that a lot. So
yeah. And I guess for you, obviously, like you say, you've been involved since 2003 in the system, which is 17 years. You must have seen some quite big changes in terms of the system, or, you know, because like you say, it's a system that evolves. It's grown substantially. So what's some of the big changes that you've seen?
Well, I think firstly, any organisation that you work with, you know, it is a job. This is a job, and jobs change. Unfortunately, politics come into the organisation. We fall out with people. And I think for me, as you know, for one thing, from the technical side of things, I've seen changes to techniques. They've become, as our system has developed, it's become more integrated. And what do I mean by that? Is it's easier to learn. That makes that with some basic principles and some concepts, they all are similar structure. So that if I teach you this, we can build on it very easily. And that's improved. That's become more integrated, and I think as society has changed and as violence has changed, you know, if I think of CCTV being more prevalent, what we do, that we work, you know, the one thing I would always say, as you know, we work with understanding the law. And if you don't have a self-defense instructor that doesn't understand the law, find another self-defense instructor. So we've seen changes like that, making us more to provide a better product for our students. We work more with that. We work a lot more with other conflict management coaches, teaching us the mental side of it, because as we know, look, we're not only teaching you the physical and the technical, but the idea of when to do it, and also overriding stress. But we also need to understand what's happening to us. And I'm not going into a great sort of biological thing, but just why am I not doing anything? Why can't I? Or what is this person? What's he saying to me? You know, we talk through a lot of that. So a lot of that has changed. We are, as I said, it's the one system that I see that is constantly developed. So it is changing, it's improving. So it makes it easier for us to teach, a much more realistic and useful system. So I've seen a lot of that, and a lot of stuff. It's interesting that, you know, I could say there are little details, certain strikes and attacks and footwork has changed, but it's all been for the better. And it's all been about making it more modern, easy to learn. So it can only, and like I said, it's important for us all as people to continue learning and developing, or else, you know, what's the point? But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, have you got, so if you look at obviously your character, you have a determined mindset, you know, you're strong, and you know, you said that, yeah, physically and mentally, you know,
well, I do have my bad days though.
Yeah, like everybody,
roll with them. Yeah,
obviously for you were able to go to a class where you didn't know anything about and get stuck in. It happened to be just you on that first class, but obviously for some people the anxiety and nerves, and there may not be that option for a woman, a female teacher, a woman to be at the front teaching them. Have you got any advice for people that are feeling nervous, because we know the benefits it can bring, kind of to get involved, particularly if you are feeling apprehensive about it, and also the element of the fact that getting your head around violence, like you say, the mental side that you're teaching somebody violence.
Yes.
Have you got some tips and advice that could help people that are struggling?
Well, I think first of all, when you walk, before you even walk through the door, do your research. That's the most important thing, and understand what you want to get from the class. You know, that's the thing. Is people come to a Krav Maga class for different reasons. They want to get fit. They want to feel more confident. They might want to just come and learn how to fight. They may have been, and I'm talking about men and women now. You know, not specifying a woman. They may have seen something. They've had some experience, someone of their family or something they've seen in the street, and they felt that they want to, or purely they just like, I saw it on the film. There's so many different ways, and I think as students, you need to be anyone that's that you are clear on your goals. Then do your research, because of course you need to find something that's convenient for you, whether it's where you work. We're very fortunate in the UK that we have you know, with regards to our affiliation. Of course, I'm always going to say go to Krav Maga Global website and find an instructor notable to you, but that might not be possible. So you need to find someone that you look at the website, that you trust, that you get a good gut feeling from, and then you know, give them a course, see if you can speak to the instructor, turn up for a class. Now, of course, at the moment this is very difficult because there's a lot of classes, as we know, shut down, and a lot of schools are not taking on new students. But research, see if you can have a look, then you will get a feel of the students in the class. That's the most important thing. Not everybody does trial classes, but as people that don't do trial classes, at least they will let you come and have a look. So don't rule that out. And then what can I say? Coming into a class, as I said, if you're in it, again, you are going to start to speak. If you are nervous, one must speak to the instructor how you feel. A good instructor will understand, and I think it's important that, you know, the one thing I would say is a lot of schools offer courses for beginners. So if you can find a foundation course or something so that you are coming in with other people as beginners, then it makes it a lot easier, because you're all coming in off the same level. The most important thing is to come in, have an open mind, and be prepared to learn. You're coming into a Krav Maga class, so I think you have, coming in there, you have an idea of what you are going to meet, what you are going to do, so that therefore there is a possibility that in any group of people you will get certain characters that you do not feel comfortable working with or training with. And I would say, ask if you can move away. Do not be afraid to speak up and say, I don't feel comfortable. It is not weak. It is, do not think anything. It is sensible.
Absolutely.
and believe me, it is a good test of your own gut feeling and your intuition. So I think persevere, you know, give it a go. That's the thing, is don't judge it on your first session. Give it a go. And I always say, if you know, if there's any sort of feeling that you have come to a Krav Maga class, you like the sound of it, I think you will like it. That's the most important thing. But don't put up with things that are not fun, that you don't feel comfortable. So speak to the instructor, move away. You've paid your money. That's the thing. You are the customer.
Like you say, it's a diverse group of people, isn't it? Like like martial arts, you know, self-defense, it attracts all sorts of different people for different reasons. And don't be put off if the first club you go to doesn't sit with your mold. It doesn't mean that every club's like that, because like you say, it depends on the coach at the front. And their interpretation.
The other option is, and of course it's not financially, it's not for everybody, but you can always book a private session with an instructor and see how you go. But I do think, look, you're going to get into a when you're training men and women together, women on their own, I see the same issues come up in when there's just all of one or one or the other, is that it's dynamics. We are working physically, and we're working with adrenaline and emotion and all that stuff. This is about controlling ourselves in the situation. So we have to listen to this stuff at work. I mean, of course, I'd say you have to listen to stuff at work and on the street. Why do you want to come into a self-defense class? And that's something I do campaign about, is be a decent instructor, be a good coach. And good coaches will spot stuff like that anyway. But keep on, sign up for a class now. That's what I say.
And tell us what's an injury that's kind of set you back and that you've overcome then during? You must have had one in 17 years of because let's be honest, like you say, Krav Maga, self-defense, martial arts, whatever it is, there is contact based, and it could not be related to that, but we've all had setbacks in our journeys. What's your that you've overcome?
Well, I told you about my, when I first started weight training, I had I don't know if I did. I had a ligament injury. Basically, I was super strong, but I couldn't bend in the middle, basically. So that got sorted. So I've never been a super flexible person anyway, and I do look after myself with movement and stretching. And I have to say, Krav Maga kicking has really improved that. But big injuries, so in the 17 years, and as I said, they have been far and few in between, but one of my first ones was I broke a 5th metatarsal in my right foot. I was barefoot training, and it was a complete anomaly. I just stepped sideways. I just moved sideways, and there was a snap, the sound of a pencil snapping. And of course, adrenaline and training. I looked at my partner and I went, was that you or was that me? And he went, it was you. So I hobbled off swearing. And then that was it. But I can't, there was I didn't realize I'd broken it at the time. So I had an instructor apply compression to it at the time. So I've now realized I've got a good pain threshold. Having a broken bone compressed was interesting. And then I drove to the hospital in true Krav Maga mum style. So yes, so that made the teaching difficult because you're on crutches, and it's interesting what you can and can't do. I did continue at the time. I was teaching fitness, so and you suddenly realize when you're on crutches that you don't see other people on crutches, and there's a reason why you don't see people on crutches walking about the street, because it's bloody tiring.
I've never used them, but
I don't recommend. Well, they're very useful. They get you around. And then a couple of black eyes, broken nose, very rare but odd. That was a minor thing, really. Very unlucky. But then the latest one was at a very high level exam. I broke my clavicle. Basically, another anomaly. The pads that I rolled over moved and hit me sideways. I didn't notice at the time. I was adrenaline, and it was only when I went to do a push-up that I realized I couldn't do a push-up, and then that was that, really. So like I say, people, please don't let it put you off. I very rare and very unusual for these things to happen. Actually, this one was not as it didn't inhibit me so much because I'm in a sling, and it's amazing how much one can do when one's just got one fist. We learn to adapt quite well. Thankfully, we have a system that teaches that. But like I say, dramatic. My family were sympathetic to a point. What can I say? That's it. Yeah, nothing else major, really.
It's quite a safe, like you say, a lot of the classes are very safety
absolutely,
and it's normally down to the individual, isn't it? Like most of my stuff's stupidity of my own, like because I've done something silly.
The two, like I said, my two big they were a complete anomaly, and they were very in high pressure situations. Unlucky, very unlucky. Well, safety and training for us is absolutely paramount, and that's the maddest thing about training Krav Maga, is in a system that we're teaching you to be defensive and to be efficient in our striking. We we look after you, because you know, issues like that are not an option. We want to make you as tough as possible, but keep you as safe as possible. So we monitor, we watch you like hawks. So
you've got to respect your partner, haven't you, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Because it's not.
No, absolutely. You know,
and again, is that your, like, for you, obviously staying with KMG for like you've been within this organization for such a long time, what's kept you part of the big organization? Like what's kept you here?
I could say loyalty. As someone who started off working on their own, it was important for me as an individual instructor to be associated to a professional organization, because I needed to have clout, and I still want to have that. Why have I continued to stay with them as the organization has changed? Is loyalty is very important. I know the people at the top, and I trust them, and I like them. Look, we've all got our bad points, but I see the system being developed. I see it changing. I see it growing, and for me, that is very important to be able to get more, to get out of it, and to consequently trust what they're doing. And I think that's very important with all of us. You know, really, it's just they've changed and developed, and that's good for me.
And obviously, this year has been challenging for lots of reasons. As you said, most of our clubs have not been running in their usual format. What's kind of kept you going through this year? Because I know obviously it's been testing on resilience and health. What's kept you going the last 9-10 months?
I like what I'm doing, and I have to pay the bills, basically.
Yeah.
And my students, I think a lot of it is that I want to, I want to be there. Look, this is what I do now, and it's quite. I don't know. It is. I don't know. It's enveloping. I don't know what the word is, but I believe in this, and I like it, and I've done it long enough. Can't do anything else anymore. It is important for us to continue. The one thing Krav Maga teaches us is to adapt, and the past 9 months now, I can't believe it, have been about adapting and about being resilient and just keep going. And it has. It's a lot of it. Why have I continued to teach? Why I've continued to move us online and help my team is because I need to do something too. You know, I need, having purpose for me is part of my mental health. That's it. My other half, he'll tell you, I can't sit and watch telly. I can't relax. I need to do 3 things, and that's how I am. So I'm fortunate that I've got something to keep me occupied. And I see, it's been great to help other people. I know it's, it sounds corny, but it's important. And I've had emails from students of thanks, thanks for keep on doing it. It's been important for us. So look, there's no doubt about it. When the lockdown first happened, I'm sure there were a lot of people that were not going, where's my Krav Maga lesson? We've got a lot of other things to think about, to provide something that may be of help and continue in a routine, and to provide some kind of, in the new, again, a word I don't like, the new normal, because I think the world changes all the time. It's just we've changed a little quicker, a little differently, haven't we, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
But to provide it. And lastly, I don't know what why have I done it? What's the option? I don't know. I don't know what the option is. Can you tell me what should I have done?
Wow. I mean, yeah, like you say, what is the alternative?
You've got to keep going. You've got to keep going, because it is tough. It is tough, but we'll get better. And we keep on. So yeah.
Just finally, obviously, I know that you are one that's continuously developing your knowledge. You've done a lot this year yourself, even though you've been restrained in terms of training. You've kept up in through this 9 months, haven't you? You've been participating in a lot of training with the global team.
Yes.
What training have you been doing this last month?
Well, I have to say, I think in some ways the lockdown has saved me in some way. I had some ongoing overuse ankle injuries that I needed the opportunity to rest. Did I rest? Not really, because again, as we switched to online training, there was a lot of background work with recording videos, editing, and sitting there watching things download. So I wasn't getting in the box sets in early days that I thought I would, but it has opened up an opportunity for me, myself personally, to improve in other ways, in ways that would have been impossible before. What do I mean? So, well, first of all, I'd say that I'd never thought that Zoom, I was very anti online training to start with, because I'd heard of Zoom. I thought online training was Facebook, where I couldn't see people, and I was very, no, I don't want to do this. As soon as I realized what Zoom was capable of, I was like, let me do it, let me teach my students. And when we first went online, it was so wonderful to see each other, even on screen. So I thought, I can't teach it without trying it myself. I can't, condone it without giving it a go. And so I was very fortunate that Tommy Bloom, Master One, who was running a lot of striking workshops, he ran, and I found out I will sniff out all the online training with the high level instructors and book it. So I was fortunate. I signed up and trained. In fact, I was a bit sad. I did his workshops twice because I really got out of it.
Nice.
Very reasonably priced. Learn from the top in your own home. What more? Well, there is a lot to learn from online learning. Try saying that. Don't diss it if you haven't tried it. It has improved my striking, my standing. And then I was able to sign up with Zev Cohen, again, another high-level master, again, who also ran online workshops. So Saturday mornings, I was able to sign up and train and get absolutely mullered physically and mentally, and come away learning loads that I could pass on. Zev in Israel, Tommy in Sweden. I don't get on a plane. So having the opportunity to train in that way, having access to that stuff, has just been incredible. And I still continue regularly training with Tommy now. Again, he's got a lot of options for online training. I'm sure he'd be happy that I plugged that for him. It is out there, and don't rule it out. For me, it's really improved my own skills. I continue to do it, and I can pass it on to my students. And I do think as we move on back to be able to do contact, there will still be, a lot more people are going online. You yourself are getting some things in the pipeline. Online courses, training apps that are coming out. People will use these alongside their live training. It's just something else. It's another tool to help them to get to where they want to be. And again, I have a couple of students that are not in the UK that have been training Zoom with me. It's been brilliant. And again, if I can't get to a class for after work, I will do online training. So there's this idea that we've discovered something out of it, has something positive. And like I say, I'm a big flag waver for it. I think it's great. Do it.
That's really positive. And like you say, it's good because it's kept like you say, your knowledge going. So through all of this, you've been able to adapt and overcome, and that's everything really, isn't it?
And I think for a lot of people, for me particularly, routine is the biggest thing. So having that routine, and I found it so inspiring to teach a Zoom class and everybody will still put on their uniform. They're at home, they're in their uniform. There might be a few people that have got their pajama bottoms on with their t-shirts on, but we don't talk about them. We can't see them. But that idea that this is I work, I do this is my time. And I think, again, we have to remember how we teach does change. I need to motivate someone, especially if you're on lockdown, you may be on your home. So there are a lot of you know, other sort of implications to the training, that giving somebody something positive as well through this time. It's been great. You know, who knew? That's the thing for me.
If we'd said at last year's G and E camp, or last instructor update, this is where we're going to be in a year's time, I'm sure we would have gone, yeah, whatever.
I know. But of course, we are very much looking forward to, after all, Krav Maga does translate as close combat.
Although I'm slightly nervous about doing my first 360.
Oh no, I'm all right. I've done a bit. We use all sorts of stuff for that. Yes, it is that we'll get back. But yes, routine is very important.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you so much.
No,
for taking the time to.
Thank you very much. It's great. It's been great, and I look forward to doing the same for you.
Yeah,
I'm going to have a chat.
What's your, so you, obviously if you are interested in Sarah and following her, you do have social media pages, don't you? Instagram, what's your handle?
It's just it's Sarah Brendlaw. That's my name. Yes, and I'm part of
as well. You're not, you do, like you say, because you've got that background, you've got a history with kettlebells. Yes. And so honestly, Sarah's, like I say, she does come from a creative background, so the way you put information across is brilliant. There are educational posts, and I learn from Sarah on Instagram.
I think it's the important is clear messaging. I'm not I like things simple and clear, so and I think that's very important. I try and keep my messages clear and simple, and like I say, keep going. As Hannah, it's honestly, it's been great, and I'm glad that you're part of the crew, as it were, and I'm, and that you're getting out there doing what you do. It's great. So thanks for letting me talk.
No, thank you very much for coming. It's very, very wonderful, and we will put this up, so we will,
lovely,
this will be on social media. So I'm going to stop recording now, and we'll say goodbye to everyone. So yeah, so thank you very much, Sarah. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, look forward to speaking to you again soon.